appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose presents Candid Conversations with Candidates. You guys know I love alliteration. So today we have with us Dan Barenie. He's running for LaPorte County Treasurer. Super nice guy. We're going to get him on stage here. He's here in the studio with us today, so we'll have a chance to ask him all those pesky questions. If you guys are watching live, drop your questions in the chat, and we'll see if we can't get to them as long as they're appropriate. We don't want to see that. No. There we go. Dan, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for hosting, Dan.
Absolutely. So you're running for treasurer. Mm-hmm. So first off, if you don't mind, a little bit about like who you are.
Well, let's see. I'm a lifelong LaPorte County resident. I've lived here my whole life. In fact, I'm probably the fourth generation of Barenie's from LaPorte County, so I have pretty good roots in this area. I started out my working career working for our family business, which I worked in, and I ended up owning it and managed it, and we had it for about 35 years. So okay. I understand what hard work is and what it takes to make a dollar, and how do you make a dollar running a business, and everything that goes into doing that, which is a lot more than people understand. You know, all the bookkeeping sides, payables, receivables, hiring, and discipline of employees, and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's really where I got a lot of my business experience. Customer service was a big part of that. When you run a business, your customers are your livelihood, and I'm just glad that we're very successful at that. And I had customers for over 20 years, so I think we've done something right. So that was kind of neat.
Nice. What kind of businesses?
Yeah, we did fasteners, hydraulic hose and fittings, snow plows, did repair on plows.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we service a lot of factories, a lot of trucking companies, a lot of farmers.
Awesome.
So all right. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I was a trucker for about 10 years. I did OTR I was a trainer for Warner Enterprises. So yeah, very familiar. There's, especially when you come to hydraulic hoses, you got to make sure that stuff's done right.
Oh yeah, a lot of high pressures
too. Yeah, hydraulic and pneumatic hoses have to be done. They have to be done right. So, okay. What is your favorite thing about LaPorte County?
Actually, probably the people. I think LaPorte County has a lot of great people in it. We have, just a lot of fun things to do with the lakes, Lake Michigan, I know that, and the smaller lakes like Pine Lake and Stone Lake and stuff. My wife and our kids and I, we like to do a lot of kayaking, so we'll be out in Stone Lake kayaking and all over. So we enjoy the water, and we have a lot of water around here, so that's kind of neat. So I think that's one of the nice things about this area. And there's just a lot of good people, Yeah. And I think our area has been suffering a little bit, but I think it can come back good. And it's got an area where we can grow and be a strong county and cities again. So
absolutely. Okay. So one of the things that I like to do, I like to ask seemingly unimportant questions. They're important to me, just so people know. One of the most important to me is, how do you like your steak?
I like my steaks medium rare.
Thank you. Oh my God, there are not enough medium rare people in the world. My wife likes them burnt. She says, "Cook, it's burnt. Well done is burnt."
Cook the flavor out of them. I don't know the flavor, so
how can you? Yeah, it's like a briquette. No. Okay, that's good. So I'm actually going to pull us off screen real quick, just so you guys can see, because I think it's important. There's a really cute dog in this photo. You won't be able to hear us. It's just going to be really brief. Here we go. There you go. So that way you guys get to see the dog in case you didn't see it at the beginning. What's the dog's name?
So the dog's name is Ruby. We call her Ruby Rose.
Okay.
So she's a puppy. She's about 7 months old now. So she's still in that phase of wanting to play all the time and chew on everything. And we got her granddaughters love her, and she just become part of the family. And she's just fun to have around. So she's going to be a really good little puppy. So
nice. Is it more your dog or your wife's dog or your grandkid's dog or?
Well, that depends on the time.
Depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah, probably who you ask. So my wife takes care of her a lot, and so she's probably a lot her dog, but the grand girls, and of course she's up by me a lot too. So
Okay.
I don't know. She's just kind of like everybody's dog.
She's a family dog.
Yeah, she is.
Is that the only dog that you have? Or?
It is. That's the only pet we have in our house. We had a couple dogs before that, and they passed away, and we haven't had one for quite a while. So Ruby's are breaking us back into the little dog phase.
Fair. So I think it's fair to say you're a dog person.
Yeah, we had a dog named Sly. We had him for 16 years, and then when he passed away, it's kind of a hurt for the family because this was around a long time. So now we have Ruby.
I've lost pets, and people underestimate how painful it is. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is. They become part of your family. They're there every day. They're there to comfort you. They're they drive you nuts sometimes also, but that's all part of it. It's like a kid.
Especially puppies, man, with all the chewing.
Oh
yeah. So how old is she?
7 months.
7 months.
A lot of energy.
Yeah. So still in that chewing phase.
Oh yeah. She likes to chew on everything and run around with everything, and so she finds stuff you wouldn't even believe. So
fair. Okay. So what do you think is missing in LaPorte County? Like, what would you, if you could wave a wand, right, and change something about LaPorte County, not necessarily in a political office, but just in general, what do you think LaPorte County needs that it doesn't have?
I would like to see LaPorte County get some factory jobs back.
Right.
I'd like to see, the $25, $30 an hour jobs so that we could get our middle class built back up. Because, I mean, a lot of my friends had to leave this area to find a job.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of people have moved out just to make ends meet. And I think that'd be great for our county to get some back. The other counties around us seem to be doing pretty good at bringing business in.
Right. Isn't that weird?
And I just think, LaPorte has a lot of advantages. We have a lot of major highways running through LaPorte County. So we should be able to bring some in. I think, a couple factories of 300-400 people, employees would make a big difference in this town.
Yeah. So I actually agree with you wholeheartedly, but one of the things I do is I play devil's advocate. So what about the people who say, well, the factory time is over, and Michigan City doesn't have anything to offer for factory companies? How would you argue that?
Well, the factory time is never going to be over because we all want to buy cars, we all want to buy things, so things have to be made.
Right.
And with us sitting here with 94 and 65 close, toll road close, and we have just a ton of highways. We are the crossroads of America, obviously. Yep. I mean, the stretch of I-94 from Chicago to 65 is the busiest highway in the country, from a lot of people say. So
yes.
I think the advantage of here is, the advantage is that we are in a great location. Mm-hmm. And we have great people. So, I think that would help our community.
Yeah.
It'd bring people into our community, which would help it also.
Right. One of the things that we've heard previous administrations say, especially like nationally, shovel-ready jobs and all this stuff. And then there was talk of getting a big Amazon plant here that didn't come to fruition. Did you hear, though, that, I don't know if you saw it because it's just happened within the last day or two, New Carlisle is getting an Amazon, it's a data warehouse. So basically a giant air conditioner for computer servers.
1,000 jobs.
That's what I'm not downing it. It's their $1 billion facility or multi-billion.
That was $11 billion they were saying.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of money that they're going to drop there. Why not Michigan City? Like, this is something we've seen consistently. It goes elsewhere, but not here.
It's moving around us, and I just think it'd be great for just not even Michigan City or LaPorte, but LaPorte County to start bringing some in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you got to drive 10 or 15 minutes to work, that's not too big a deal, but just to have good work.
Right.
Because that brings a lot to the community. I mean, it helps families grow and stay in your community and have roots. I mean, I've got roots in this community. I don't want to leave. I want to see it do better, but I also know you have to be able to make a living.
Yeah.
And if you can't make a living, you got to move somewhere where you can make a living. And that's a shame that, kids grow up and don't have the option to stay here. They should have that option.
Yeah. That's a very fair point, because something that my wife and I both, when we ran for office, consistently brought up is the younger generation. It's very difficult for them to feel like they want to stay here because the jobs are not the greatest. We have a very service-based economy, lots of fast food, lots of restaurants. But as far as like production, like you said, factories, stuff like that, good paying jobs, they simply don't really exist in Michigan City outside of a small handful that if you're not already working there, you're likely not going to be working there.
Right.
So yeah, it's unfortunate, but
And not only that, there's no competition in our town, so our wages are lower. So if you took Solaire down to Lafayette area, they would pay more per hour because they'd have to.
They have to in order to attract talent.
Here they can buy us cheaper, and that's
right.
The competition would be really great for this area.
It would. I agree with you. Okay, so you're running for office, running for LaPorte County Treasurer. Why treasurer?
Well, it's an office I understand. I understand balance sheets. Obviously, running our business, so you know how to track every dollar you made and every penny. I think I can do a good job of doing that for the county. I also think it's an area where, maybe I can communicate with our county leaders that are spending the money a little bit and saying, hey, guys, put on the brakes or, we can afford this great project. So I think communication with letting the people making the decisions know what they have available would be helpful to them, too.
Okay. So what do you think is the greatest challenge for someone that wants to be treasurer? Or for the office itself, for that matter? The greatest challenge, like, not necessarily for someone running, but like once you get in there, what do you think the greatest challenge of the treasury office is?
Probably training the employees to what you expect out of them. I mean, I'm pretty big at setting, goals and everything for the employees. I've always done that with everyone I've managed, and let them understand what you expect out of them and set goals for them and try to make them grow as people, because that's really what I think a good manager does, is try to make his employees grow because they can become better, and that's really about improving everybody is a great thing to do. So
okay, all right. Let's see, what do you hope to accomplish as treasurer? Like, not just doing the job, right? Because we always, if we're going to elect someone, we expect them to go in and do the job.
Right.
But if you had to say my number one goal for treasurer, if elected, is, what would that be?
I would say the communication, because I would like all of our customers to be treated well when they leave, let them have a great experience with the treasurer's office. And then also communicating with the other leaders. I think LaPorte County's lacked in communication. We've had a lot of bickering and things like that, and I don't want to have nothing to do with that. I think if we just talk out, communicate with each other, we can move the LaPorte County forward.
Okay. I have become skeptical of anyone running for office, which is at odds with my foray, because in my heart, I truly believe that most people that run, at least in the primary, for office are good people that want to do the right thing. I believe that, right? But at the same time, we've seen that people once elected, they go their own way or fall under someone's sway or whatever. How do you anticipate being different in that regard? Because one of the things we've seen is consistently in LaPorte County, and we're not going to mention any names,
right?
But we've seen people fall under the sway of very powerful entities here in LaPorte County to serve them and not the people. How do you plan to keep that from happening, I guess?
Well, that's hard to say because you have to know me. I am my own person. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to take large campaign contributions from anybody. So no one's ever going to own me or buy me. And I've been fortunate in my life to have been around a lot of people who have done very well. So I've been around a lot of business owners. I've worked with them, and these guys are multimillionaires. So money does not sway me like it probably does a lot of people, only because I've seen it. I have enough. I'm not, Bill Gates rich or nothing, but my wife and I do all right. So no, I think what you see is what you're going to get. I'm not going to change. If you talk to my wife, she'll probably tell you I haven't changed in the 37 years we've been married. So
if she can't change,
I'm probably not going to. And I've also worked with a lot of people downstate, because when I worked at INDOT, we had to work with people in Indianapolis, and a lot of them think differently. But I was very successful with it because all you have to do is communicate. So if you let people know what you need and then explain why you need it and show them the evidence of why you need it, most people are willing to work with you. And I think that's one thing that we don't do. We don't take the time to explain why we need something. Because that really helps people understand your mission and your goals. And I think if we did a little more of that, we would be more successful.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think communication is a valuable skill that's vastly underutilized, especially in our county government here. When you were a kid, what did you want to be like when you grew up? Did you want to always do what you do now, or was there something else that did you want to be like an astronaut or?
I can't say. I like fast cars.
Okay. Did you think about being like a race car driver?
No, I just for whatever reason I like to drive fast when I was younger. That was probably something I like to do.
Okay.
And I did that for quite a while.
Okay.
Then
did you rack up a whole bunch of speeding tickets?
I didn't, and that was one thing. I was very fortunate. I really never got any speeding tickets, and you can ask my wife. Nice. I've been pulled over a few times, and they've always been letting me off. One summer I got like 13 warning tickets. I decided I better slow down. So
yeah.
But one thing I can tell everybody that if you just be straight with the police and don't lie to them because they know what you did. And I never lied to them. They said how fast you're going. I tell them. So, and I think they liked that I was being honest with them. And I grew up,
right?
And I think that's where I'm at in my life. Is I'm older, obviously, and I don't want to say set my ways because I like to listen to people and I still like to learn.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, every day, every week, you can improve yourself if you try, and I try.
Okay.
So, but just be straight with people,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good deal. So you were born here in LaPorte County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever thought about like moving elsewhere?
We always talk about it, especially in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Because
the winters suck here, man.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, every year the winter just seems colder and longer sometimes. So
every year, and then you'll get like the one winter where it's just really cold, but not that much snow falls, and then you'll get like one massive dump of snow, and you'll look out at that, and you're like, I should have moved.
Yeah. Well, were you around in '78?
No. Well, yes, but not like I was down south.
Okay, so in '78, that's when we had the last big snow in LaPorte County.
Okay.
And I was, a young kid at that time, and we had at least 5 foot of snow on flats. It was just 5 foot of snow and drifts 10 or 15 feet in the air.
Wow.
So in my house where we grew up, we had drifts up to the second story windows.
Yeah.
So that was the last big snow I think LaPorte County's had. So
fair enough. Yeah, we've had some pretty major snow since I moved up here. I moved up here. My grandparents lived up here for most of their lives. They moved from California to LaPorte County for some reason, but they lived right off of Michigan Boulevard there. And when I came up here, I was like 10, and I was from Louisiana, Alabama, right? Born in Louisiana, and then we lived in Alabama for a little bit before we moved up. And I came up here, and that was the first time I had ever seen snow. And I was so excited about it. My grandparents are like, we understand. Like, we get it. We understand why you're excited, but it's going to fade. It's going to pass. And it did.
I think with time, it gets a little, I don't like to shovel snow no more.
No.
But I did buy a plow for the truck, so that does a lot of it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I had, that's the thing. Like, when I was a kid, I'd always have to shovel the driveway.
Oh, yeah.
That was my job, go out there, shovel the driveway. And then as soon as I moved out because I was living with my grandparents at the time, as soon as I moved out, they hired a guy to plow their driveway. And I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, our driveway was pretty long. You wouldn't shovel it.
Yeah.
So I had to sit on an old Ford tractor with no heat, no roof, no windshields. You have to start
open cab.
Open. Yeah, no cab, just open, just a seat. Metal seat right in the cold. So you have to start it up and let it warm up for an hour before hydraulics work and let it move. Right. So but that was fun when you were a kid, and you're 13, 12, 13 years old. That was all cool. So.
Yeah, getting in this old piece of machinery that just is it just me, or did the older machines seem to have like a degree of personality or soul to them, whereas new machines, I don't know, they're just so sterile and plastic and just like.
Well, the old equipment, you had to work it.
Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, you had to pull levers and push pedals, and now you can do everything with a joystick. So
right.
You heard all the creaks and groans when things moved on the old equipment.
Yeah, maybe it was a lot more mechanical.
Yeah, well, it was. It was heavier. Yeah. Slower,
true.
But they got the job done.
Yeah, it's wild to me to see like the advancement in like horsepower from little tiny 4-cylinder engines when like in the 80s, for example, my big time with Camaros and all that stuff, right? The bigger the engine, the more the horsepower, and little bitty 4-bangers just didn't have the power. Nowadays, like. My wife's Kia makes more power than my Camaro at the time. Like, it's crazy.
They just don't sound the same.
No, they don't.
Them old Chevys and big blocks just had a
They had that
certain rumble to them.
Rumble to them that was just
That's pretty cool.
That's one of the things I never cared for about some of the faster cars, especially like in the 80s. Yeah, they were fast, but like you had the tuner, like the whole Fast and the Furious thing.
Right.
It was, and that was later, but that whole car scene, I just didn't care for the import scene at the time because I liked the big, deep, throaty rumble of the American V8. That's just, how it was. But now these little bitty motors make way more power, and it's insane.
Yeah, they do. Everything's improved a lot. I mean, everything we buy is a lot better, faster.
But it breaks down a lot faster too.
Well, it costs a lot more too.
Right. Yeah. So there's ups and downs. Okay. So moving on. I could talk about like that kind of stuff for hours, but people want to know like who you are. So what do you think is your greatest achievement?
Probably my family.
Okay.
I mean, my wife and I have been married 37 years, I think 38 this year. So
that's impressive.
That's a long time by today's standards.
It's a long time by anybody's standards. I mean, that's, that's a healthy marriage to survive that long.
And, we have a couple of great sons and, 3 granddaughters. So we spent a lot of time with our boys. We did Boy Scouts. So we did the Cub Scouts and then the Boy Scouts. So for quite a few years, it was one weekend a month we went camping with the Boy Scouts. And it's been around a lot of other kids. And, even them kids today will say hi to my wife and I and stuff. So I think we had a little impact on some of the kids. So that's probably my greatest is giving back. And that's one thing that I really enjoyed, that working with the kids and seeing them grow up and helping them learn and improve themselves. And that's one thing I think I want to try to bring to the county government is that example of we can be better, right?
Okay.
We can act like adults and we can communicate and we can work together and we can, reach across the aisle and shake each other's hands. We don't have to agree.
Okay.
But the civility, you always need to be civil to each other. And that's one thing we learned in Boy Scouts with 30, 40 kids that have all different personalities. You make them blend together and you accomplish things.
Okay.
And that was something I learned there, and I've used that through my whole life. So
Right. Okay. So what do you think is the big issue with the lack of civility in county government today? It's especially, for those of you not from LaPorte County, it's pretty crazy. It is. If you watch some of these meetings, the commissioner meetings, the county council meetings, there's a lot of headbutts going on and a lot of disagreements that happen, as opposed to some other counties. Heck, even St. Joe County, Porter County, they're our neighbors. They don't have this kind of animosity, I guess, even for each other.
Well, I think that goes back to, I would call a lack of leadership.
Okay.
Because, what is the goals of our county? Does anyone know? I mean, what are the next 1 or 2 big things we'd like to accomplish as LaPorte County for the next year or two?
Question. Yeah.
I think we need that. If you don't have a direction, everyone's going to run around with their heads cut off in different directions. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Right.
I think that our local county government needs to focus on what we need to help our citizens, what we need to support our fire and police, and or EMS people. What do they need? And then pick 2 or 3 things that we want to accomplish over the next year or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And start moving together.
Okay.
Not that we can't do something else.
Right.
You can throw in a project here or there, but have an overall goal and a vision of where we need to go as our county.
Okay.
And I think that's what we're missing because we don't have someone, leading the charge of what way we're going to go. Now, you might not agree with everything about it, but there's got to be 1 or 2 things as LaPorte County citizens we can agree that would make our county better. Yeah. And let's go that way. And then we fill in a couple little other projects along the way. So I think that's what we're missing is the direction and leadership.
Okay. Who do you think is responsible for that leadership? Do you think it's the treasurer's office, or do you think it's kind of should reside with the commissioners or the executive branch?
Right.
So they're kind of what
that's where it should reside, in the commissioners and the county council. And they're the ones that need to set that leadership. But I think my role would be there to support them and help mentor that leadership. As the older guy, I can, we can afford it. No, we can't afford it. If you want to do it, how are we going to fund it?
Right.
Let's figure out all of the project before we start, and I think that I can contribute.
Does the treasurer, but the treasurer doesn't really have any control over what's spent, do they?
No, but the treasurer can tell them what they have.
Right.
And then, tell them to put the brakes on or not put the brakes on, which, if you want to do it, you want to spend that kind of money, how are we going to do it?
Okay.
And maybe slow them down. I think that's one thing, our government is designed to work slow.
Okay, true.
And it's to work slow so we don't make big mistakes, right?
True.
So, but we have to move forward. And I think that's what we're missing is the moving forward part.
Okay. So why not just kind of as an aside, because I agree with you, the responsibility of leadership lies with the executive and legislative branches, which in the case of LaPorte County is the commissioners and county council. Why not run for a leadership position there, or even a position there?
The main reason is I didn't want to. Because I really want to see what's going on in our county government.
Okay.
I mean, you hear all the stories, you hear all the rumors, you see the meetings, but I want to see what's going on, and I think I can set a good example of what leadership can be.
Okay.
And start there with the treasurer's office and just show some true, honest leadership.
Okay.
And then, maybe later I'll do something different, but I want to see what's going on before I jump in.
Right. Okay. I'm not I don't expect you to comment on the current treasurer. You're a candidate. Right. You really shouldn't, really. But I have no problem saying the current treasurer sucks. We have issues in LaPorte County because there's missing money, as in filed wrong. I'm not saying it's missing as stolen, but there are CDs that are recently rediscovered. None of these things should be happening, is the bottom line. We need firm accountability in that office.
Yep.
What is your plan to ensure that we have the kind of accountability that we need in the treasurer's office?
Well, that's kind of what I had to do when you run your own business. Because when you run your own business, you have to watch every penny.
Okay.
Because every penny counts. It's not like it's a bucket of money that you always get to play with. And that's the mentality I'm going to take to the county government is this is the taxpayers' funds. This is every citizen of LaPorte County's funds, and I'm going to make sure they're all accounted for and that the information is available for the people who want it. Okay,
I'm really glad you mentioned that because a lot of people that run for office, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but they kind of get this mindset that it's theirs. Not like they go and spend it, but like they have, I guess, personal stewardship of it, yes, but they kind of forget that it's not their money. Even the commissioners and council forget in many cases that that's not their money. That's our money. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, I think that's something that we're missing in our government and we've lost today is the government's there to serve the people.
Right.
That's how it was founded. That's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not there to serve the government.
Right.
So that's one thing I want to bring back to our county government saying, hey, that my office, when I run that office is going to be there to serve whoever comes in the door and needs our help.
Okay.
Because that's what it's about.
Okay.
It's about service and helping the citizens. It's not about us as the leaders.
Right. Okay. I'm with you. What have you seen in your years of living in LaPorte County that trying to think of how to word it. I know what I want to ask. I guess, can you point to a time in LaPorte County when basically the government worked like it should? Because I can't. I'm only recently involved in politics. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna let people know. I didn't really pay that much attention until a few years ago, and that's to my detriment. But recently, all I know is seeing what we got, and it's not working too good.
No, I'd say the last 15, 20 years, LaPorte County government has not worked very well in a lot of ways.
All right.
I think that's when we've lost a lot of our industry.
Okay.
And I think that's why we're not getting industry now, because they look at what's going on. They're like, yeah, we don't want to get in the middle of that mess. So I think the early years of LaPorte County was huge, especially in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Kingsbury Industrial Plant was just banging. I mean, World War II, I mean, they just turned out armaments, to make the war effort.
Which a lot of people don't know is that was a vital, it was a vital resource for the war effort. Was the ammunition and stuff that they manufactured down in Kingsbury.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, that put Indiana as a state as a whole produces a lot. I mean, people don't underestimate. Indiana's not a big state, but Indiana produces a ton of stuff. I mean, we're number one in a lot of categories. So it's a state where people work. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great part of it. We just got to get the work back up north. It's all kind of went down south.
Which is one of the things.
And part of it's probably been because Indiana traditionally has been a Republican state.
Yeah.
LaPorte County traditionally has been Democrat. And I think they've kind of knocked heads with each other instead of reaching across the aisle and working together. And I think that's kind of left LaPorte behind. I think that's kind of what you're seeing a little bit too. Instead of working with downstate, even though we weren't with the same party,
right?
We didn't.
Yeah.
We kind of just hung out here by the lake on our own, and told them to go pound sand, and they did. They just left, and here we are with not as much as we should have had.
One of the things that I found interesting is the gradual reddening of the county, with the exception of Michigan City. Michigan City is very firmly bluish purple. But once you get outside Michigan City, like LaPorte County is very red nowadays. I'm surprised because it's been this way for a few years now. I was surprised that we didn't see at least some sort of inroads be made in bringing some development up here, even if it's not to Michigan City, because politics is politics. Republicans don't want to give Democrats the win. I get it.
No, I don't get it.
But
I don't get it.
I don't agree.
I don't know. I don't get it. I think that's just the wrong attitude to have.
Yeah.
What improves the lives of our citizens and makes our county and cities better is what we should be doing, whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Right.
I mean, the whole attitude of we're just this party and everyone else can go blow, that's just wrong.
It is. But like, why haven't we seen, like, even because they had $1 billion, well, I think it's like $1.5 billion or more nowadays for the double track project. Mm-hmm. We had, $1.5 billion for that, most of which goes through Democrat areas. But we don't see that type of investment in good paying jobs.
No.
So is it like a disconnect down in Indianapolis, or do you think that the fault lies closer to home and that our politicians could work with them to get some of this stuff here?
I'm going to blame the people at home. Okay. And only because I went to work for INDOT for 6 years. Okay. And I was a fleet manager over the LaPorte district. Okay. So basically I had the northwest corner of Indiana, from the Illinois line to Warsaw, Indiana, from Lake Michigan down to Lafayette. That was the corner I was responsible for.
That's a big area.
It is a big area. It's one of the biggest areas in Indiana. Yeah. We were the biggest. We had the most trucks of everyone else. But, when I contacted people downstate with things I needed, they're like, well, why are you talking to us? They're like, this is weird that someone from LaPorte would talk to us in Indianapolis. I'm like, why? I'm like, well, because you just don't do that. Mm-hmm. So I had to build them bridges within INDOT with the state to come up here and work with them. And I was very successful. We only had a capital budget of $1 million, which sounds like a lot of money to spend on equipment. But when one piece of equipment costs $500,000,
right.
That's not a lot. But I got that increased to $2.5 million just by working with people downstate, but not just working with them, but explaining them what we need and showing them on paper why we need it. Okay. And they're willing to work with you. So I think most people are, but I don't think we've done that up here enough. Okay. I think, we just haven't reached out to Olive Branch and said, hey, let's work together to make northern Indiana grow like we're seeing down in Lafayette and Noblesville, right? They're growing great guns down there. Bring some of that north. Yeah. But I don't think we've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fort Wayne, Logansport, Kokomo. Yeah. We've seen all these massive projects go in to areas except here.
Well, I just don't think our leaders did that. So I don't know if it's because, Chicago has a big influence over us maybe, or what that would be, but I just haven't seen that. The whole northwest corner of Indiana is kind of lost a lot. I mean, we used to have a ton of industry up here and it's all gone.
We did, yeah. I mean, Michigan City itself was like a powerhouse of industry at one point. I mean,
it was bigger than Chicago one time.
Yeah, which
is just kind of amazing, right?
It is amazing. Yeah, I actually learned that a couple of years ago that Michigan City was actually larger than Chicago at one point. Look it up. It's fascinating, and how it ended up being what it is today. The Barker Mansion and the various there were a couple other Pullman
was a big one.
Pullman was a big one. A lot of
Clark Equipment. Clark Equipment was a big one too. So
was it?
Clark Equipment, they were
big. They were a huge. There was some significant growth in Michigan City, and then it just kind of leveled off, I guess, and kind of petered out. Now the casino coming. What's your take on the casino? This isn't a LaPorte County treasurer thing, but just your opinion of the casino. I was against it when they first announced it. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. It's been a huge boom economically.
It's probably been a good boon economically, but you got to figure. I think the paper says everyone that walks on that boat will lose $87. So the casino's built there to take your money.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about, right?
That's what it's about.
So if you can accept that, that's fine. I guess my question would be: we've had all this riverboat money. Have we saved any of it? Have we put any of it away in a fund to let it grow and have a rainy day fund? I don't think we did very good there.
No.
So we had this influx of money, but what did it show for our citizens?
Money has been horribly mismanaged, in my opinion.
So yes, the boat's probably been good for our area, and yes, it's supplemented our counties and city governments, but it shouldn't have, right? We should have lived within our means and had that money for projects to improve our area.
But we got a brand new police station here in Michigan City, and a whole new whole new squad cars and our fleet. That's what the word I was searching for so desperately. A whole fleet of squad cars. And, all of this stuff. And, Michigan Boulevard looks much prettier now.
Well, it might look prettier, but what did it do to help business?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they put all them, they blocked the road up so you can't turn anywhere. So how would business ever grow there? You can't get to them.
Yeah. Like they did in front of Marquette Mall with Burger King. Right. They built that median to where you can't even turn left into Burger King anymore from Franklin Street.
So, and Walgreens the same way. They can't turn into there. So
you can't. You
got to drive down and come back.
Yeah, and turn around.
So, I mean, it might look better, but was it what we needed to do? Do we want the mom and pop shops back? Do we want the growth in our town back? And we need to make it accessible to the citizens.
Okay. All right. I don't disagree. I mean, there are some fundamental changes that desperately need to happen in this county, in my opinion, for us to move forward, like you said. And I think it's a good idea for the county to identify a couple of things that they want to accomplish in the next, year or two. And now that you bring that up, I'm trying to think and I watch the commissioner meetings, I watch the county council meetings, and I can't really think of any major things that they go, we want to accomplish this. I mean, it's the standard housekeeping stuff. We're going to pay the bills. We're going to do this.
We're going through the motions.
Right.
But we need to have better leadership, I think, we need to have a bigger vision, and we need to bring everybody along. We need to help Michigan City make it better. We need to help LaPorte City make it better. We need to help the other smaller towns to make it better.
Yeah.
We need to move together to make our area stronger.
Okay.
And I think we can do it. I mean, you just can't leave people behind. And I think, one party wants this, one party wants that. We got to quit just thinking about parties. We got to think about the people.
Well, the funny thing about the division of the political parties is there's a couple of talking points, right, that are big election swayers. One is abortion, the other's gun rights. For the most part, those are your big differences. However, at the core, and I'm talking traditional Democrats, not the progressives, but traditional, what I call JFK Democrats.
Right.
We want the same things. We want a safe, healthy community where we don't have lead in our water. Right. And, we want the same things. But there's this incessant need to butt heads. But at the same time, when a party has control of, say, a council, why would the other party be in charge of that council? So I'm gonna ask you some questions about your bona fides, right? Have you been a Republican all your life, or has that changed?
No.
Because my political leanings, the more I learn, the more Republican I get, me personally. Because there for a while in my 20s, I seriously looked at what I consider JFK style Democrats. I'm like, they kind of make sense.
The sad part about it, if JFK was alive today, he'd probably align with the Republican Party.
Oh, absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
That middle class, the working Democrats are now, if you look at what's going on, are more the normal Republicans, not the fringe Republicans, but the middle of the road. Mm-hmm. We don't have, the middle is not the middle anymore. The middle is way left of what it used to be. So,
which is wild, isn't it? If you basically take a stance on any of the, like I was talking about, the big election swayers, right? No matter where you fall, if you are not binary, black or white, for abortion no matter what, or against abortion no matter what, you're attacked.
Well, I'm attacked, so.
Yeah, but I'm just, and you don't have to, because it's irrelevant for the office. But that's one thing I've noticed too, is people that run, and not you specifically, so I want to make that perfectly clear. I'm not talking about him, but different people that run for office, they want to focus so much attention on issues that don't matter for that office.
Right.
Talking about, either pro or against abortion, or, pro or against gun rights when they're running for, say, like treasurer, for example. Neither of those have anything to do with the treasurer's office.
And you notice I haven't mentioned any of them in any of my ads. So I'm
right, which I'm really happy about, because at least you're focused on the office. So diving a little more into, and you know what, I'm gonna get your opinion on something. Tom says he thinks we need Franklin Street two-way again, all the way to Lakefront, right? So I'll put him on the screen. He says we just need Franklin Street two-way again, all the way to the lakefront. Now that is, I call it relatively recent, like just basically paving it and making it all one way, because it used to be Franklin Square. I remember when I was a kid going to Franklin Square, and there was a little hobby shop down there called Barenie Hobbies.
Yeah.
You remember them?
I remember Vale's bike shop was down there too.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't go to the bike shop, but I did go to Barenie Hobbies, and I think it was B&E or B&A, B and something. I remember but they had like model trains and like plastic models,
right.
And then they had like role playing games like D&D,
right.
Stuff like that at the time. And then he got into like Macintosh computer repair, and then moved out of Franklin Square. And I don't know what happened after that, but
everybody moved out of Franklin Square at one time. So
exactly. So do you think, and this is just a personal opinion, it doesn't have anything to do with the office, but I'm just curious what your take is on Franklin Street. They turned it into the Arts District, and it's a one-way, two-lane that goes down the middle. They took out, the walking portion. Like, do you think it'd be better to make it a two-way, or do you think it would be
well, if you know any of the people have been around when it was a two-way, which I don't know what year it changed, but I had to be pretty small when it changed, because I don't remember it being a two-way.
Yeah, it was.
But if you talk to like my mom and dad and my grandparents and all, they said that's what killed downtown, wasn't taking it to the one-way.
Interesting.
So all the old timers from the area pretty much say that killed downtown Michigan City.
I think so too. I find one-way streets, even when they're fairly navigable, right? Because let's face it, the downtown Michigan City, it's not terrible. The one.
I don't like the two ways. It used to be one way. Pine Street went one way and Washington went the other way.
Yeah.
That seemed much easier than what they have now.
Right. So now they've changed Pine Street to where it's two way.
Right.
But they did the same thing with Washington, didn't they? They made it two way.
It used to be three lanes each way. So
yeah.
And now it's one lane each way. So we lost the whole lane. So
Right. And you have the Lighthouse Mall there. And you would think with all of the money coming into Lighthouse Mall, because they seem to be doing well even nowadays. Lighthouse seems to be doing
it seems like it's struggling, because I went down there a few weeks ago, and it was 30-40% empty, it seemed like.
Oh, okay. All right. Now,
which I was sad to see. So I hope it comes back. Maybe when the summer coming. I'm sure COVID and all that was very hard on it. So hopefully, maybe with summer coming, we'll bring some stores back and they can stay. So
okay, yeah, I hope so, because when they first opened Lighthouse Mall, I was like, outside mall, but it's actually not bad. Like in the winter, I don't like it at all.
It's windy all the time down there.
Yeah, just for some reason, the way that it's designed, it's right by the lakefront. The wind is always
the cool breeze off the lake. So
yeah. So it's like, it's always like 10 or 15 degrees colder than it should be or feels like it is. So
I remember when the mall was a big deal, and it was full.
Yeah, I remember walking like Marquette Mall. So I heard, and this kind of falls under the umbrella. So apparently, the reason that nothing's been done with Marquette Mall is that the owners, it was a group of people that owned it, but one individual bought out the rest.
Yep.
And he is open to the city and ideas of how to basically revamp the mall into something cool for the area. Because the city has all kinds of ideas. I've seen proposals for all kinds of stuff over the years. We could take Marquette Mall and turn it into this or do this or that. But the group that held the purse strings on it, that had ownership of it, was like, nope, we like it just how it is.
And it's probably a tax write-off for him.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. But the owner, I guess sole owner now, or at least majority owner, basically he makes the decisions,
right?
Has said that he's open. So from a county level, would you be okay with investing LaPorte County taxpayer dollars into perhaps modernizing or changing the use of to a Michigan City specific type of thing? I don't know what. I've seen all kinds of proposals.
I mean, I don't want to say yes for that project. I have no idea what it would be, but anything that can bring decent jobs to our community and make our community better and stronger, I would support.
Okay. What about, like, there's been a lot of talk recently, especially with the governor debates, right? The gubernatorial debates. There are a couple of people on stage who have been I don't know what they call it, the chair or whatever of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. And one of the things they do is they kind of decide where investment's going to go. Mm-hmm. That's my understanding of it. It may not be complete, but that's kind of generally it. So one of the things that they did was say, well, we're going to invest in these multi-million-dollar businesses and give them tax write-offs and give them this. Are you in favor of that? Because it seems to be a fairly Republican thing where we welcome big business because we know that they're going to, like, for example, build a big factory and we'll have tons of people. Are you in favor of tax breaks for corporations, or is it a little more nuanced?
Overall, I would say I'm in favor of bring incentives to bring business in, but we have to have some kind of guardrails on here. Like, how long are you going to be here? What are you going to pay? How many people are you going to guarantee you're going to employ for how long?
Right.
Because we want to return on our investment, right? As a citizen of LaPorte County, if we invest our taxpayer funds into a business, we want that business to reward us back.
Right.
So we need to make sure whatever kind of deal you make, there's enough meat in the deal that we're going to, recoup our funds and they're going to stay in our community, not just get the tax break, be here a couple of years and roll on out,
Somebody has a really good question, Tom, again. He says, who do you think, and it's an opinion, so you can't really be held to it, but who do you think will get NIPSCO's property once it shuts down? He's of the opinion that the NPS, National Park Service, will annex it because it is actually attached to Mount Baldwin.
Correct.
Do you think that's something they'll do? Or
I don't think no one's going to take anything from NIPSCO unless NIPSCO wants it to happen. So if it benefits NIPSCO, they'll get it. But if NIPSCO can turn it into condos or some other thing, I think that's what will happen to it.
Okay.
Because NIPSCO is a big corporation. They're a smart corporation.
Huge. They are smart. They absolutely.
Whatever benefits them the most, I think is what's going to happen.
Right. So. Somehow we the taxpayers are once again paying to clean up their messes. Coal ash. It's been a constant problem here in Michigan City and really all over Northwest Indiana. Heck, East Chicago, I think, had a massive problem with that, didn't they? Do you know? Well, this was a few years ago. So.
Right, but I mean, for me living in this area my whole life, the area is so much cleaner than it was. So that's, when I was a kid, we'd drive through Gary, it was a smog zone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just drove through the fog. So
true.
The area is a lot cleaner than it was. Manufacturing's a lot cleaner than it was. When I first started in business, you'd go into a plant like Wild McLean where they had, big blast furnaces where they're, making molds and stuff.
Yeah.
Some things were dirty.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't even see across the room in some of these places,
Yeah.
And now you can walk in and go up next to a furnace and you can talk to people, you can see it. It's a lot cleaner. So we've improved a lot in manufacturing. So then that's cleaned up this area. So, I mean, we're paying for some of the stuff that happened in the 50s and stuff in this area because they didn't really understand, I don't think at the time, the ramifications of what it would be, 50 years down the road or 100 years down the road.
I don't know. I think when a company has like almost $600 million in profit, they can afford to spend X amount of dollars to clean up the mess that their company made, and the taxpayer shouldn't be on the hook for it. However, switching gears for a second, but it's directly related to NIPSCO, is the Biden administration is pushing through these changes, and they're targeting coal and natural gas plants. And they're estimating that basically our rates are going to skyrocket again. Do you think that that's going to change NIPSCO's plan to basically the plan was initially within 5 years they were going to shut down that coal plant and open solar plants.
Right.
They've extended that because of the basically solar isn't quite as good as they thought it was, and they did all the figures that they do and said, well, we're still going to need this for a while. So they extended it. They haven't said exactly how long. Do you think that that's going to extend, or do you think it's going to shorten the time that they're going to hold on to that, or shut it down? What they do?
I think the plant in Michigan City will shut down.
Okay.
I think NIPSCO is going to get rid of that plant. It's old. It's not a big producing plant.
A while.
They have wheat field. I think they're not running wheat field. It's max capacity.
That's true.
It's a lot newer, runs more efficient. So I think they'll shut Michigan City down.
Okay. So you think they're just basically going to stay on schedule with?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean,
okay.
I really think our country as a whole needs to watch what we're doing so we don't run out of energy.
Yeah.
That's the scary part about that. And I think if we put a lot more research into making it cleaner what we're doing, we could probably filter our air a little bit more and do a better job also. So
yeah,
I think it's we got to have an all above approach there. So
yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, unfortunately, and obviously we could talk for hours about this administration or that administration, but I'm happy to see someone who is obviously invested in the future of LaPorte County. You've lived here your whole life, right? Who seems to be pretty open and seems to understand
I can work with anybody.
Yeah,
I've learned that through business. Customers. I didn't even have to like them, but I sold them product, and we had a good working relationship.
Right,
I didn't think sometimes I didn't like them a whole lot, but it didn't matter. We worked together and got it done. So
right. So one of the things that so I myself am not all that familiar with what the treasurer does. I know they're responsible for the accounts, but there have been there's a lot of confused people right now as to what the treasurer handles and what the auditor handles, because there's been a lot of blame being thrown back and forth between those two offices because our credit rating got nixed a few years ago. I think from 2016 is the actual period, but it happened since then because it takes time for these things to make their way down. What is the treasurer's office what is the treasurer of LaPorte County actively responsible for?
Well, they take in all the money.
Okay.
So they receive all the tax payments, all the money the county receives. It goes through the treasurer's office,
including sales tax and the money that they take out of your paycheck for LaPorte County, and
so they basically
property taxes,
property tax and all that. They collect it all. And they make sure it's deposited in proper accounts and keep a tally of it. The auditor's office does more of the spending of it, but they're supposed to work together as a checks and balances, right?
Yes.
Everything the treasurer takes in, the auditor sees.
Right. That's how it's
and everything the auditor spends, the treasurer sees. So that's your checks and balances. And the offices got to work together and make sure that everything's in the right spot.
Okay.
And I hear those things now where people don't know, well, this happened or that happened. And I don't understand how that can be, because if we're doing our proper checks and balances, everybody should know.
They should. Everybody should.
And that's one thing I think I can bring is that openness and the communication that we, solve them little problems that we have right now.
Okay. Okay. Do you think that there's anyone currently running for auditor that you would have a problem working?
No, I'd work with anybody.
Okay. Where can people learn more about you?
You can Committee to Elect Dan Barenie on Facebook.
Okay.
We're there.
I had that, and I'm going to make sure that I
and elect Dan at Barenie.net if you want to send me a question.
There we go. Yeah. Make sure if you have something, let's see here. Let me get this up there real quick. I had it, and then somehow it got deleted. So
I mean, I'm willing to talk to anybody. I'm willing to work with anybody. I am my own person. I might not always agree with you, but doesn't mean your idea is bad. Doesn't mean my idea is bad. Somewhere in the middle, there's probably a road we can go down and make stuff happen.
Right. Or email him at, what is it? I'm sorry.
Dan. Oh, no. Elect Dan.
Elect Dan.
At Barenie.
.net.
.net, yep.
Okay, good. I'm going to make sure that I get this on there so people can see it. There we go. Okay. So if you want to learn more about Dan, you should learn everything you can about anybody running for office. You guys know I'm a huge proponent of that. Who you choose to vote for is completely up to you, but I urge you to learn as much as you can about any candidates running for office. That's just my personal take.
Right.
I think an educated voter is a powerful voter. And I think personally, again, just my personal opinion, I think if we learn more about the people running for office, some of these individuals would not be elected.
Well, look how the people voted.
Right.
And read the bills they put up.
And
it's all public knowledge.
That's precisely, absolutely. Look at, if someone has been in an elected position previously, you can see their record.
Right.
There are tons of organizations that keep track of that.
Indiana.gov, it's all there. Right. Every bill that anyone sponsors, any bill, how they vote, and just read the bills that they put up. Right. Federal government too. Read you can read the bills. Most people can understand what they're talking about, or pretty much. So
yeah, at least the summary. You can read the summary of it, and they do a fairly good job of posting a comprehensive.
Right.
Just for the most part, it's not perfect, but yeah, get involved. Absolutely, get involved, get knowledgeable, learn, because
just don't worry about the party. Worry about who you're going to vote for.
Right. That's exactly right. And you know what I'd like to see less of personally? I'd like to see less straight ticket voting. I believe, you can be a strong Republican and you can go in there and, and I'm not talking about in the primary, I'm talking about in the general. Right. Just picking a party kind of has got us in the mess that we're in.
It's kind of the lazy way of doing it.
And it is.
in some ways.
No,
in some ways.
It absolutely is. And that's why, again, because
probably half the people you're punching for, you don't even know what they're doing or anything about
heard of them.
Right.
Yeah. And in many cases, especially LaPorte County, countywide races like this, the primary is arguably the more important election.
Well, that's who you get to pick from.
Exactly.
I mean, you're choosing who you're going to get to vote for in November, so.
Right. Not just you, but, other people. Right. Who's going to be on that ballot? So I always urge everyone, by all means, learn who's on your ballot. Okay, so we're very short on time. It went really quick. You're an easy person to talk to.
I try to be open. I try to be honest. I try to be straight with people because I found that when working our own businesses, if you're honest with people, things are going to go a lot better. Not that we done everything right when we had our own business. I had employees make mistakes. I make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you just, admit it and say, hey, we screwed this up, but this is what we can do to make it right. Most people work with you because everybody makes mistakes. Yeah. We're not perfect. So
that's the key. And I think it's one of the most important things that people can kind of take away from any candidate interview is if that person is willing to admit when they're wrong,
I'll own it.
or if they, or if they don't know something, it's easier. Like that's something that I value very highly because so many people running for office want to hum their way through an answer when they don't know.
And I'll just straight tell you, I don't know. I can find out.
Right.
But when I'm the treasurer, you have something I don't know, I'll get back to you. I'll tell you I'll get back to you, and I will. But it might be a day or two, but we'll figure it out.
Right.
Get the right information.
Okay, so one more time, if you guys want to learn more about Dan Barenie, go to his Facebook page, and it's Committee to Elect Dan Barenie. I just realized that I forgot an E on committee. Come on, guys, you're supposed to. No, I'm just messing. That was my bad. There. There. Go to his Facebook page, Committee to Elect Dan Barenie, or email him at elect Dan. Elect Dan. How did I miss that too? Man, I am off my A game today.
Well, at least you're admitting it.
That's what I mean. I make mistakes too. It happens.
We all do.
Everybody makes mistakes. Yep. It's the willingness to admit it and to say, you know what, I'm going to try to do better.
We're not perfect.
Elect Dan at Barenie.net.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Phenomenal. Hey, I got one more question for you, and then first of all, is there anything that you want the voters to really know about you?
Just know that I really care about LaPorte County. My roots run deep. I'll be honest and straight and open with anybody that wants the information, and I'm not going to change. That's who I am. I'm 60 years old. I'm not going to change now. So
Fair.
I had a great father. That's some of the things he just beat into my head. And I try to beat that in my kid's head. Just be straight, honest, and fair with people. We'll go from there.
Okay. Phenomenal. One last question. I heard, so someone had emailed me this question, and it was so weird. I'm still not entirely sure what the answer is, so I'm going to ask you and see if you know. It has to do with the treasurer's office, but I'm not sure how. So apparently when they find a dead body, right, like the coroner goes out and there's a body there, and nobody claims the body, what happens to the money? That's like, let's say we find somebody and they've got like a massive wad of cash on them. Where does that go? Do you know?
Not 100% sure.
Me either.
But it probably would go to Lost Indiana, because there's a whole Indiana website of found money like people never claimed. Yeah. Okay. That would probably be where it would go, because that's where a lot of it would go, if they can identify, something about it. So.
Right. Okay.
But no, I don't know that. I never had that happen.
Right.
Fortunately, I haven't found any dead bodies.
Me either. Okay. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dan, for taking the time out. I really do.
Thank you for doing this. This is a nice thing to do.
I think regardless of how you feel about any particular candidate, you should always learn. Even if you're dead set, you're going to vote for this person or that person, learn about the other people just in case your person doesn't make it. You can learn what this person is about and be like, oh, you know what? Okay. Or, oh my God, it's important. Become an educated voter. One more time, I'm going to throw the banner up there. You guys go to his Facebook page, Committee to Elect Dan Barenie, or just email him directly with any questions you have. It seems like he's pretty easygoing and will answer any questions you might have. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hosting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna pull you off screen and run my little disclaimers, and then call it a day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dan Barenie. He's running again for LaPorte County Treasurer, a crucially important office that, let's face it, has not been doing well recently. As always, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by me or the show are mine. They don't belong to anybody else, and they are not the views, thoughts, and opinions of anyone who may or may not choose to come onto the show. I value open dialogue, and just because someone's on my show doesn't mean they agree with anything that I say. I think that's important that people understand that. It is what it is. Learn about your candidates. I got one more little disclaimer to make sure I run, and then there you go. Like always, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you spending the time to watch this episode. And we have a couple of upcoming. No, we got one. We have Spencer England. We had to reschedule him for Monday. This time was not his fault. We had some family members who were sick, and I didn't want him to, come and potentially catch anything. But more importantly, I just didn't feel good. And it was better to wait until, it's not fair to him to have me go, what? It's not good. So he's on Monday at 7, and then we have some really cool upcoming guests. Stay tuned. We've got a father-daughter pro weightlifting team, which is just awesome. You don't see that too often. We have some local ghost hunters that are coming on the show and a lot more. So tune in. Remember, we're on X, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, and we're looking to branch out to other platforms as well as podcasting platforms as well. So thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.